brothers and sisters, family, young and old, current subscriber, new subscriber, anybody that view, I salute you and I thank you. And may that great divine always be in all of our lives, the one that created us and developed us and put us all on a different path and different walk, but all reaching for that same righteous goal. It's just to live, man, the best of oneself to the best of our abilities. It's wonderful, ain't it? So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time zone you're in. And welcome to another edition of EBX Discussion, where I suggest, teach, and give advice. And never ever, I always got to give that disclaimer, never ever want to come off like one knows everything. Just sharing knowledge that one has learned from family, via teacher, or even from a child, or just life experiences, little jewels that we pick up along the way and put them in that old righteous spiritual bank, and just keep those tools in there and have them ready, because you never know when you're gonna need righteous tools in the future, and that's real. My grandmother said, may she rest in peace and in power. Just keep on living and you'll see things to come. It just depends on what kind of life we're living, right? If we're out of the woulda, coulda, shoulda syndrome, we should be on fire and be generals out here, because we don't always have to be in warrior mode. Sometimes warrior mode can be subtle. Sometimes it can be aggressive. When you learn to channel energy and learn how to master one's emotions, you can adapt to anything we encounter, any environment. Not that we're chameleons and we're being sneaky. No, it's just being able to adapt to different situations. When you're in control of one's emotions, you'll be amazed the things that we'll be able to not endure, so to speak, but be able to plow through without getting ourselves totally involved, And remember, we all have been conditioned, melanated brothers and sisters. So that's a centering mechanism. That's mostly for me. That's something I say from time to time. All of us in the whole world, to be honest, but especially melanated brothers and sisters. And that is facts. We all know this. Everyone in every corner of the world has been under some kind of conditioning, one way or another. So we start there. As far as human nature goes, then we start there. We start with why what certain individuals, including myself, before I became somewhat aware, takes work. But when we get to that state, we use that we have been under conditioning as a focal point to why certain behaviors happen in different individuals, and we begin to understand, as I learned from a great brother. And something else I learned from a great brother I bring up every now and then, because I will always honor thy teacher. I don't play like that. When I learn something from someone, I take it to heart righteously, even if it's something that make me feel uncomfortable. It's wonderful. Then we look back on what we learned, like, man, I'm glad I listened. Be thankful if you have a listening mind, a listening heart, a listening soul. And of course, I'm talking about righteous things, It's all for nothing. If we're listening to toxic shit, learning from toxic things, what the hell can we learn from a garbage dump? That's what toxicity is. It's like wallowing, like a pig wallowing in mud. Real talk. So don't be in the mud. Only pigs play in the mud. So those who are righteous, we don't go nowhere near that. Because symbolically, cleanliness is next to divineliness. I was going to say godliness, but divinely, it's deeper than that. God is that deep spirit within us. That's where that God spirit is. A lot of us has tapped into that God spirit, but entities of the world had made this God thing artificial. Again, as I said on a recent podcast, has many names on it, but there is only one positive force. So, but that was just a little thought intro. And how many of us feel this in our spirit? How many of us been told we're weird? I've been had people think I'm weird, but are we really weird, brothers and sisters, especially those that have tapped in to those thoughts we get and just out of the box thinking? Are we really weird, really? Or are those that tell us we're weird, maybe they're not tapped into something that we're tapped into? Because as we say, philosophers say, or scientists, or people who write books on sociology and and stuff like that. I'm not trying to say big words. I'm just, because my mom actually has a degree in sociology, if I'm not mistaken. Just kind of speaking on it. I don't know a lot about it myself, but I'm talking about those who have an expertise, as I heard a brother say, in those areas. I'm just kind of like speaking on it, using it as an example. Most people who know, that really know about that kind of stuff, know that everyone has to go through that filtering process in our mental state. It's just, been told, we know that what I really was wanting to draw from that is, as many of us, until we come into a level of self-awareness or age, brother or sister, young or old, things we don't understand. I'm talking about righteous things, nothing bad or terrible or nothing, but things we don't understand, we tend to think is weird. So, and a lot of times, like I say again, are we really weird? Those who are tapped into that out of box thinking, my righteous truth sayers out here that see above and beyond the so-called matrix. Are we really weird? That's a question. So, but that leads me to the universe calls us to learn astrology. And I wanted to say why, and I've always, and I'm sure many of us can relate to this, I've always been infatuated with the universe, even as a kid. Even in video games, I always like outer space video games and stuff like that, and the stars and the moon. And always been infatuated with that. And it's in our sign. I really don't get into signs and stuff, but I'm talking about not like symbolism signs like Cancer and Scorpio, that stuff. I don't get into too much of it, but it is kind of a part of astrology. And that's something that's in the meaning of Cancer, because I'm a Cancer. We are automatically drawn to astrology and things of out of the world thinking. That's just in us, but we have to develop it. We have to see it, because different things that they say Cancers are, you have to tap into those things that they say we are, because everybody has a bad side and a good side. Now, until we learn oneself, we get rid of the bad part, because there are bad parts to being a Cancer, and that's any astrology sign. It's a bad part. But once we mature and we get into those levels of self-awareness and educated a little bit, whether it's books or life experiences, we start channeling the righteous things and getting to that good part of us. So with that being said, most cancers, when we tap into that God spirit deep within, we are some of the most godly people. I'm not saying just we are. A lot of people are. But we tap into the unknown, the weird side, because we become drawn to it. And I know it's many of us like this, not just Cancers. And of course, I'm going to get into a summary, and it's a couple of signs in this summary I'm going to read for my leaders and teachers with a student spirit. Because remember, we are never followers. We ride along with one another. All I see is generals in oneself, family, brothers and sisters, reachers and teachers in the world or online. We're going to take this divine walk up 1,000 notches. Remember, 7th nature. We done with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We are now at 7th nature. Just theories and opinions. That's how we got to think. We can think powerful. Think of all the great ones before us that went above and beyond the regular human body. We got to work that part of our brain, that just been dormant and just waiting for us to activate those divine thoughts. And don't care what person, place, or thing thinks, because everyone can have powerful divine thinking ways. Because some Malcolm X said, always got to draw from Malcolm X. Some Malcolm X said, once we change the way we think, change the way we eat, change the way we feel, we will begin to change the way we walk. We'll change the way we dress. We won't be dressing according to fads and all that bullshit. Our dressing will dress according to our character. I always wear black and red. That's my color. You always see me something with either red on or black on, or whatever, no matter what color I'm wearing, it's gonna be either black in it or red. That's just my color, because red is the color of my birthstone, and I talked about that in therapy. How nature is therapeutic. I talked about that in that podcast, and it was about a red cardinal, and I spoke on how the color red is a color of power. But we're talking about righteous power, though, not that evil shit, because how this world is, that have you thinking red is something evil when it's really not. But it is a color of power. But let's speak on righteous power, so we know who we are, so we, like I heard a great brother say, we can't run from ourselves. Everywhere we go, there we are. So I want to get back to the universe calls us to learn astrology. And why? Again, I always been infatuated with it, but now I'm learning more. And I'll never, because I've learned from different things in my life. I always kind of like to say I have two families. I have my biological family, then I have my other family I have learned from, and maybe some in the world and online, and that's real. We got to honor our teachers out here. It just benefits us in the future. I'll put a little side note. I said this before, but I'll say it. I think it's important. Positive energy is free all day long. Costs us nothing. Negativity can cost you, and I can give an example, but our example is the way of the world. Social media, we see how negativity is costing some people that's, don't know they're negative or don't care. If you haven't studied, if you know about astrology or some, because I don't know a lot about it, I'm still learning, but I know more now than I did. Some more advice I'll give. Be thankful that we might not be where we want to be, some of us, but thank God, thank that great divine universe that we're not where we're used to be, and we're looking to move higher and learn higher and elevate and teach those in our circle, so we can have those generals. We all teach each other to be leaders, because there's a leader in all of us. Just got to tap into it. Again, it's not always speaking or on no podium. In life, in general, there are many generals in every corner of the world. Melanated generals out there. Remember, we're no longer soldiers, and we're not always in warrior mode, but we got that warrior thinking on backup. If we can tap into it when we need to, when we become self-aware, we're able to do that. We don't always have to don't even be in survival mode. Be in ready mode. You can just, it's like you can just tap into it when you need to, and that's having a sense of balance, and that is possible. But we have to practice and study oneself and get to know oneself, as I said in a song called Self-Control I did here recently. And I did that song before, and this is the second one, but I just like to show my face sometimes, because again, I'm always doing audio and I show videos where you hear my voice narrate. So I just show my face and let the public see your brother face from time to time. And I'll be uploading a family video, and I'll be uploading more family videos of my biological family, and I speak to them, but not enough. So I'm working on that. I really need to connect to family more. I'm working on it, It's always something to work on. Always room for improvement. But thank those that's been riding along. Thank the reachers and teachers. Thanks for the love of one's family, biological family, and an online family I'm just so glad. Be thankful if you have a listening heart, a listening mind, and a listening soul. But my generals, those who listen, I want to read a summary of why the universe calls us to learn astrology. And I'm sure many of us can relate to this. I'm sure many of us have always been infatuated in one way or another with astrology. That's why a lot of us are infatuated with it now and learn about it. And again, are we weird? Are we weird? Really? What is weird? Really, what is? That's another podcast. What is weird, really? Again, I'm sure I'm not looking up the definition, but, weird to me, just my opinion, is just when it's something that we don't overstand, understand, or understand. And remember, I learned that understanding from a great brother. It's a time I didn't even say that word or know what the real meaning of understanding means, and not just trying to sound intelligent. No, really know what things mean. It's so fulfilling, brothers and sisters and family, when we really know what we're talking about and we know what things mean and we comprehend. It's the most fulfilling thing in the world, a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then we teach that righteous prophecy to others. We prophesize right, and remember, we learn from a teacher. Depending on what kind of preacher it is, we only feel good from a preacher, because feeling good is only temporary, but learning and comprehending can last a lifetime. So, okay, I want to get to this summary. Let's go, my generals. Okay, people may be drawn to astrology for a variety of reasons, including Understanding or overstanding or understanding. Remember, I learned that from a great teacher. Astrology can help people understand or understand themselves and their place in the universe. Astrologers suggest that the alignment of celestial bodies at the time of birth can influence a person's character. Now, what I draw from that at the time of birth, I would say that would be the time of awakening, when we start stepping into the so-called weird way of thinking, quotation marks. Well, and then after a while, we won't think it's weird. Actually, it's rather brilliant and it's unique. And always, this word that's been in my spirit lately, extraordinary. You know, you just step into the extraordinary side of our brain, which is in all of us, especially melanated brothers and sisters. And many philosophers and powerful speakers before us tapped into this side of their brain. And we have some weird people out there, don't get me wrong, but we have some that are not, just have tapped into something that many don't understand. But we all have a choice if we healthy mind, body, and soul. I'm gonna start over. Understanding oneself. Astrology can help people understand themselves and their place in the universe. And as I heard a great brother say, universe. Again, that's not mine, that's someone else's. But it's brilliant, isn't it? So I'll tell you, got some brilliant teachers out there. Just have to listen. That's brother or sister. Again, that's not mine. Astrologers suggest that the alignment of celestial bodies at the time of birth, remember, that's symbolic of awakening, when we finally come into oneself and we see the so-called matrix for what it is, can influence a person's character. We become real with oneself. We begin having the art of not caring about things that are insignificant. Temperament. We start working our temperament and inclinations. For example, Aries. Remember, I was going to talk about signs. And these are just examples. I don't get into the signs too much, but it's a part of astrology. For example, Aries are said to be adventurous and independent, while Taurus are often described as reliable and practical. So again, it's variety. Everyone is an individual, and that's not by mistake or coincidence, because the great divine is of variety and the universe. And don't forget, Mama Nature. Great divine is the male energy. Mama Nature is the female energy. And we live this life long enough, and we study astrology. Remember, we're always learning. I'm just giving one's perspective. I don't know everything there is about astrology. But remember, brothers and sisters, we enjoy the journey. Don't focus so much on the destination, because there really isn't a destination until you fill in the blank. It's only one destination, and that's when we'll say goodbye to this old planet. I won't get too deep into that, but let's try our best to have a smile, to work toward to having that divine righteous smile before we leave this here beautiful, lovely planet. It can be, and we leave a righteous impact the best way we can, brother or sister in the world or online, and family. You keep doing what we have to do. Again, even if we're not speaking, we're doing the right thing. Every time you're making a right choice, that's another righteous mark in that universe. That's just more things we're storing up when we make right choices. Even when it's not easy now, we're still storing up great things in that universe. And it will always call us, and it's always has been. And some of us, it's always been in our soul. It's just, as I heard some great teachers say and a great brother say, it's just that once we get that compass in the right space, and that needle ain't jumping all over the place, and it's where it's supposed to be, we will truly be in alignment with that universe. And it's not nothing. We can't think it's weird. That's why that great divine Mother Nature is of the world. It's not in it. So that's why the universe calls us to learn astrology, so we can go outside of ourselves and have an out-of-body experience while we're alive. We don't have to wait till we're not here to see that great higher force. We can see it while we're alive, and because that's the worst. That's why I'm telling you, that's why we have to be grateful for those who are doing right, again, whether speaking or not. But it's an icing on the cake to have righteous brothers and sisters teaching, because there are people lives who are being impacted. We can't. There are people's lives that are changing simply by listening to one speak. So that's why it's powerful. That's why I try to stay positive. I be real too now. Sometimes I'm subtle. Sometimes I'm aggressive. Sometimes I might cuss a little bit, but it's always be a righteous agenda, and that's what make it all worth it. We gotta always have solutions and ways, and of course we have to take action too and do what we have to do in our families and communities. I don't get away from that. That's something Malcolm X taught. We change our thinking and eating, and it works our way out. It works from the inside to the way out, again, like a righteous ripple effect. So that's what we do all these things for. So we can have an abundance of it in those that's in our circle. So because we're building generals, that's what we're doing. I'll kind of use iRobot as an example. Y'all remember the scene when they showed all those? It was like 1,000 robots, but just symbolic now, where none of us are robots ever, and we got a lot of righteous, strong human beings, human brothers and sisters out here. And I put emphasis on human, because nothing can beat the human spirit. I don't give a damn what's going on. Nothing can beat the human spirit in a divine, determined brother or sister, young or old, family member. Generals, that's what we have. But go back to that analogy. That's what we're building. And loyal generals, and I told a brother one time he got a foot soldier for life. And I mean that. And that's for my family too. Even sometimes I lose myself in solitude, but something I haven't said in a while that I always say, always keep a family spirit. Because remember, the universe is listening, and get past the weird shit. Let's go above and beyond this little petty ass human body. Let's do what Bruce Lee did. Bruce Lee worked parts of his body, man, that some people would never get to, and he been transitioning, gone forever. You got people today still trying to reach that bar that Bruce Lee set. And many others before him, brothers and sisters too. Black brothers and sisters that set that bar. Shaka Zulu. I always got to bring up Shaka Zulu, but I don't ever forget about those who fought with him. Brothers and sisters, they were just as strong. Think about it. So, telling you, they set that bar high. Real talk. So, that's why that great divine, that's why the universe, Mama Nature, that's why that great divine, that positive force, the universe, that's why. I think I might have answered that question. That's why the universe calls us to learn astrology. So, it takes us out of this so-called matrix. It takes us out of our little everyday routines and small spaces, because that force wants us to see what it sees. So that's my theory. And thank those for coming in to another edition of EBX Discussion. So those who are reaching and teaching, and my family that's striving to do right, stay with it. Nobody's perfect, but we can always have perfect intentions. And whatever divine voice you hear, whether it's the universe, it all a part of the same positive force. When you hear that little voice, keep making them right choices. First instinct is always the correct, most of the time. So I hope I answered that question. That is kind of a question for me and anybody else that kind of had that question, why we are infatuated with the universe, because we always have been. The walk we're on is something that all these things that we went through in our lives as brother or sister, young or old, or family, and the ones listening, general, that to bring us to this point that we're in right now, to bring us to this foundation that we are standing on as one speaks. So, and we have those divine thoughts, and that great divine wanted us to be parallel with it. So that's why the universe calls us to learn astrology. So keep on learning. Keep on expanding, keep on growing. Brother, sister, young or old. My generals, salute.